This video lesson is about the sum of angle measures in a triangle. Let's first look at the SE here. 688 says that you need to extend previous knowledge of triangles and their properties to include the sum of angles of a triangle, the relationship between the lengths of sides and measures of angles in a triangle, and determine when the three lengths form a side. In this lesson, we are going to concentrate on this part of it right here, the sum of angles of a triangle. And what we're going to learn is that when you add up the measures of all three angles in a triangle, it equals 180. Let me take a look and show you what I mean. Here is just a picture of a rectangle. If I take this rectangle and let's say, well, first of all, let's talk about a rectangle. We have four angles here. We have A, B, C, and D, the angles. So let's say I draw angle sign like this. Well, we understand because this is a rectangle, all of these equal 90 degrees. That's a 90-degree angle. Angle B is a 90-degree angle, as well as C and D. And of course, if you add all these up, or you multiply 90 times 4, you're going to get 360. Well, if I were to cut this rectangle in half, you'll notice that it forms a triangle. So the triangle is exactly half of a rectangle. So if a triangle is half of a rectangle, then if we took 360 and divided it by 2, we would get 180. So every triangle is exactly half of a rectangle. So that's how we understand that rectangles add up, or the angles of a triangle, the sum of the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Let me show you some more diagrams. Again, these are two rectangles. It might be hard to see in this picture, but this is originally a rectangle, and then the blue part is a triangle, and this triangle is half of that rectangle. And then again, this yellow triangle is half of the gray rectangle. So again, if we were to add up the sum of the angle measures of this triangle, it would equal 180. And if we were to do the same with the yellow triangle, they would all equal 180 degrees. So the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 all equals 180. Alright, now let's take a look at some examples and do some practice problems using this understanding of the sum of the angles of a triangle. Alright, example number 1 says find the unknown angle measure. So we are given 42 degrees and 105 degrees, and we are asked to find the unknown. Now let's go ahead and set this up using an equation. We have our unknown x plus our two knowns of 42 degrees plus our other known of 105, and we know that all of that equals 180. So if we combine what we know, that being these two measurements, 42 plus 105, we're going to get 147 degrees. So x plus 147 equals 180. Well, in order to solve this equation, which you've already worked with equations, we need to get the variable x all by itself. So we're going to subtract the 147 from both sides. Basically what we're doing is we're subtracting our two known angles from 180, and that leaves us with what is left over, the unknown x. So our unknown x is going to be equal to whatever 180 minus 147 is. And if you wanted to go ahead and write that out and solve it, 180 minus 147, we have to borrow from the 0, make it 10. Or we have to borrow from the 8, make it a 7, so the 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 7 is 3, and 7 minus 4 is 3. And we understand that x is 33 degrees. 33 degrees. All right, example 2. A doghouse has a triangular shaped roof, and the two angles along its base both measure 45 degrees. What is the measure of the angle at the top of the triangle? Okay, I'm not really an artist, but let's pretend that I can draw a doghouse. There's the opening. And the roof looks something like this. So we have a triangle, and it tells us that the measurements along the base are both 45 degrees. So this is a 45 degree angle, and this is a 45 degree angle. So then we're left with our unknown of x. And this is what we're trying to figure out. Again, we can add the x plus the two knowns, the 45 degrees plus another 45 degrees, and we know that it all equals 180 degrees. When you combine 45 and 45, that is 90 degrees. So our equation now says x plus 90 equals 180. So basically you need to subtract the 90 from 180, and your final answer is going to be x equals 90. So this triangle is made up of two 45 degree angles and one 90 degree angle. Okay, practice problem 1. Find the unknown angle measure. Okay, we have our knowns and we're looking for our unknown. Well, let's go ahead and write it out as an equation. Let me back that up for a second. Let's use, okay, x plus 40 degrees plus 120 degrees, and all of that together equals 180. Okay, so let's go ahead and add these two together. It's now going to read x plus, and when you add 40 and 120, you get 160. And that all equals 180. Okay, we need to subtract 160, and our x is going to be equal to 20 degrees. So this measure up here is 20 degrees. 40, 120, and 20 all equals 180 degrees. Okay, practice problem number 2. The measures of two angles in a triangle are 35 degrees and 45 degrees. Write and solve an equation to find the measure of the unknown angle. Now we could go ahead and draw a triangle if we wanted to, or we could just go ahead and set up and write an equation in order to solve this. Well, the equation is real simple. You just use the unknown plus the two knowns, which is 45 degrees plus 35 degrees, and all of those equals 180 degrees. Okay, again, we're going to go ahead and combine these two that we know. So our equation becomes x plus 45 and 35 is equal to 80. And the unknown now plus 80 is equal to 180. Well, you're simply going to subtract what you know from 180 degrees. So when we subtract 80, our final answer is going to be x equals 100 degrees. 100 degrees. Okay, that is a look at the sum of angles in a triangle. Simply need to remember that all three angles in a triangle add up to a total of 180 degrees.